In our video on cell phones, we explained how cell phones handle calls, texting, and data. None of that would be possible without the infrastructure of the cellular network. But first, why the cell in cellular? Each network operator divides a service region into a honeycomb pattern of hexagonal-shaped cells. The operator decides on the size of the network cells based on the population density, as well as the local geography. Is the terrain hilly or flat? Does it have a lot of trees or buildings? The cell size is also limited by signal strength, since cell phones are low-power devices. Why low power? It's so they don't use a big battery, don't get too hot, and don't give out harmful amounts of radiation. Each hexagonal cell is a region where the phones serviced by a provider have to operate within a certain set of frequencies. In the United States, there are cellular bands of frequencies around 850 MHz and 1900 MHz assigned to cellular operators. Providers of latest generation 4G phones have been given the license to use several other bands around some other frequencies. Cell phone service providers have a narrow range of frequencies or bandwidth to work with, and a lot of customers' phone frequencies to cram into that narrow bandwidth. One way to increase bandwidth efficiency is by reusing the available frequencies across cells. Sets of separate frequencies within the allowed band are used in the cell and its 6 immediate neighbors. This combined set of frequencies is then reused in the next cluster of 7 cells, and so on. Since cell phones operate at low power, this frequency reuse can be managed without a signal in one cell interfering with the same frequency signal 2 or 3 cells across. That kind of interference would create an undesirable crosstalk. There are other creative ways that providers boost cell phone efficiency in crowded places like airports and subway stations. They use directional antennas that transmit and receive within a limited angular range, so the same set of frequencies can be used by, say, 3 antennas pointing in different directions within a cell. Crowded cells can also be divided into smaller microcells, picocells, and femtocells. Now there are honeycombs within a honeycomb. So those are some ways cell operators maximize their usage of the frequencies they're allotted. Here's how they connect you and many others across the land. Each cell has a tower with antennas that belong to one or several carriers. However, each carrier will have its own base station connected to its antenna. A base station looks like a big box, which comes equipped with a lot of sophisticated network devices. A base station is quite like the nucleus of that cell. Your cell's base station makes the connection to other base stations of the service provider and to the provider's central connections office. This network is part of the wider cellular network with other providers, the older landline telephone network, and the internet. Routers and switches populate the nodes on that vast network. These handy devices determine and establish a viable pathway for a signal to get to its destination. In the past, this pathway was a dedicated circuit created by switches that turned on and stayed on. Nodes along an available path remained connected to each other for the entire duration of the call or data connection. This kind of dedicated channel path created by circuit switching sat idle during periods of low or no activity, such as a pause in conversation or intermittent email typing. As you can imagine, it wasn't a very efficient way of communicating bits. To increase efficiency, network systems are now rapidly evolving towards packet switching. Data or voice bits are divided into smaller packets and transmitted along different pathways, but are all addressed to the same destination. When they get there, they are quickly put back together like a puzzle. Packet switching rocks. To recap, when you use your cell phone, the bits are encoded and transmitted to the nearest cell tower, and from there down a link to the base station. The base station makes the connection with other base stations and the wider cellular and landline network, as well as the internet, to take the signal to its destination. The return signal comes back to the phone the other way around and is received and decoded by the phone. With so many people using their smartphones, it's mind-boggling to think of all the radio frequencies whizzing about. Computers constantly crunching bits that end up traveling across a vast and intricate network, and all manners of devices operating precisely to make sure signals get to the right destinations. All that is constantly and silently happening under our feet and above our heads. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to the Tech Animate channel for more fun and informative videos like this one.